What is up, epic people of the internet? My name is Nate, and welcome to my discussion and read-through video for the DevBlog 16 of Foxhole. So this is just a blog that the developers of the game put out every couple weeks, so I figured I'd read it to you and share my thoughts on all the cool aspects they're going to be adding in the game in the future. So the first thing that they discuss in this DevBlog is an addition of a new map called Umbral Wildwood. It's going to be east of the Upper Heartlands map, and this area's defining features will be heavy forest and shallow rivers. So this picture looks pretty good. It seems to be a little bit more heavy forest than the maps that we have currently in the game, which is what I believe they're going for. When designing this map, our inspiration came from a variety of different places. We thought about several combat sequences from Band of Brothers, good series, that took a place in forest, and strangely enough, we also talked about Amon Hen from Lord of the Rings when describing landscape for this region. So those are both pretty good movies and TV series, and so that I'm kind of excited. That does bring back good memories, good combat there. Our map designer, Matt, I think his name is actually Matt, I read it down below, a typo there, personally referenced areas of northern Ontario where his hometown resides. Okay, that's cool. So that is some first person things. So here's the outline of the map. So it looks like we got, what's that, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 towns. Okay, that's not that bad. I think Endless Shore has 8, and it's kind of like the map I play the most, so I think it's a good reference. 9 would be better. I feel like having an advantage to one team at all the time is good, and I feel like with maps that have even numbers of towns, there's just a stalemate that lasts a little bit too long. I think having an extra town would actually benefit the map. The creation of this map was proved to be a challenge across the board. Early on, we were very concerned about not being able to sell the feeling of walking around in a forest from a top-down perspective. That is actually an interesting thing, because it's kind of hard if you can't see your guy in a huge top-down forest. So I guess having a heavy forest, that would be actually pretty difficult to move around and so forth. So I can see why that could be a problem. We experimented with heavy woodland areas before in the Deadlands, but never really got it to feel right. In addition, we've been having some technical issues with getting the Unreal editor to play nice with so much foliage in one screen. I've been hearing a lot of cursing from Matt's desk in the recent days. That's funny. Alright, so I think overall more maps is better. I think as we go through the bottom of the dev blog, you'll see why more maps is definitely better. Definitely change it up a little bit. So I think the addition of that would be great, and hopefully we can keep coming up maps, keep them coming, because I think only about a month ago they added Endless Shore maps, so they're definitely pushing out more maps, which is good. All right, so this is a big one that I read a lot into on this page and try to figure out a lot of what's going on. So the factory is going to be a new building. They're introducing a new structure called the factory, which will drastically change the way weapons and equipment will be produced in Foxhole. This has been a long time coming, and if you watch our streams, you've probably heard me harp on how much production needs to change for months now. All right, so I guess here's the benefits. Good goals of production moving forward, including decoupling item procurement from production, which we're reducing crowd standing around production structures, which would be good because sometimes that's just a clusterfuck if your town's getting attacked and mortars are hitting you. Making town halls the go-to place for public players to obtain items. See, that is key right here, I think, for me, because there's so many times where I just wish all the resources were like in one central area, or not resources, but like guns and ammo, because you just go around and you spend so much time just looking for that ammo that you can't get back into the battlefield and defend the town. You're looking like where okay, I have an SMG, where can I find SMG ammo? So knowing that it's in one central place is good. One concern I have there is like when your town hall gets blown up, you like where all your resources gone. Like I know they explode out onto the map and you can pick them off the ground, but a lot of times no one really hits the chests with mortars. I mean, it is a good tactic. I do it sometimes, but I always go for the town hall with my artillery and so forth. So it's interesting to see what will happen there with that. Removing the need to babysit production structures while they produce items. That's good, because that takes forever, and I'd rather not be able to have to sit there and just keep clicking items to move them and keep them queued in the item. Making production fit more naturally in the logistics route. So I thought about this a little bit, and I was trying to figure out how that actually worked, because I think it takes away from some of the work that needs to be done in the back end, because it sounds like factories are going to be a continuous continuous production, so you don't really need to do much as long. It says right here, so So long as factory is fueled and stocked with materials, it will continue to output weapons and items on a regular basis. So I thought about it a little bit, and actually I think it is a good thing for the logistics loop, because I feel like sometimes when I'm driving a truck, it's drive here, drive here, drive here, and the people in my truck, even though I'm talking to them on Discord, sometimes get a little lost on like what the plan is. So in order like to simplify that, it's good that I think to just have one central location to go to pick up the resources that you need. To pick up the ammo you need, pick up the guns you need, will be at the town hall. So I think that's good, and it'll make the logistics route faster and easier for new players to pick up, which I think is a problem because all your new players are like, I don't know how to run logistics, so I'm just going to fight, and then no one runs your logistics. So I think that will actually add to the people who want to do logistics. We aren't sure if this structure is a final solution production, so this might not be final. So okay, that's interesting. Okay, so we'll see how the factory works out. I just think sometimes it's gonna be interesting because it sounds like here, I think I totally forgot about this. So each town will have several factory structures, and each will be capable of producing a fixed number of items types. So I'm just concerned about like what item types each one's going to be able to do. And it says here, players will be able to repurpose factories if they want to change the types of items. So I'm assuming this will happen with tech parts or some other new resource that they add to the game, similar to tech parts. And my one concern is, what happens, okay, so one factory is making mortar shells, for instance, and you want to switch it to artillery shells because you need artillery shells more than mortars. So what happens like when you want to go back to mortar shells? Like, are you going to need a shit ton of stuff? I feel like if there's going to be like a new player is like, oh, I gotta make rifle ammo, so I'm going to repurpose this artillery shell factory to rifle ammo. But obviously artillery shells production is a little bit more important than rifle ammo at some key points in the game, because you might have so much more of the rifle ammo than the artillery pieces. So then I think it's like you leave that up to certain players. I think you have to leave it up to like officers to change that, or almost something, because if you let it do like low ranked players, they're just going to change it up because they don't know what's going on, or they don't understand necessarily the whole logistics of the game. So I think that could run into a problem there, but we'll have to wait and see. All right, this one's pretty straightforward. Barbed wire barricade. So they're going to add barbed wire. These barricades will significantly slow down the movement speed of players. They will be extremely resistant to all types of weapon damage, including explosives. I guess that kind of, like, physically that makes sense. The only real effective way to dismantle these is with a wrench. Good. There we go. That adds another role to the game. So now you need your combat engineers, which is good. This is the start of adding another role, because right now you have your logistics, you have your medics, you have like your heavy weapons guys, and then now you have another role that isn't actually shooting something. So that's I like that. I like that they're adding another role into the combat scene. Alright, character revamp update. So it looks like they're adding a bunch of different, or not different, but they're updating the way the different characters look. I think this warden right here is pretty good looking. Unfortunately, I think it looks a little bit too much like a German helmet, which I think is a problem because they're trying to do the whole, we're not German versus, they're not real factions in real life, even though this kind of looks more like a German helmet than it did previously. And down here you can see what looks like the colonial helmet, and looks a little bit more American. So it's like, choose your mind. You got devs, you got to choose your mind. You got to pick whether you want them to look a little bit like the actual armies and so forth of real times, which I know you guys don't. So keep that in mind. It also looks like they're adding women and female characters here with skirts. And yeah, it looks like, yeah, cool. So that's good for all the female players out there. Alright, so this is another big thing that I think is very important in this DevBlog. I mean, they've discussed it before, is the World Conquest mode. So, I guess they've been trying to play around with this, is said here in what I read here. So, it looks like, so what I got from this, I'm sure there's going to be more details in the future, is all the maps that they are putting into the map are going to connect, like you see in the picture here. So these are the 4 maps that are currently in the game, and the new one that we talked about will go here. We'll go in here, east of Upper Heartlands. No, so it's going over here. I totally lied. East of Upper Heartlands? East of Upper Heartlands. So east over here, Upper Heartlands. So totally over here. I was going west of Deadlands. That was not right. But so it'll connect into Endless Shore, which is good. Giving a more coastline, I think, is good. So it sounds like this is just going to be like, if you ever played Red Orchestra or like the Rising Storm games, it's like the territories game. So it sounds like as soon as you take one area, you can put the main battle pushes into the next area and so forth. And it sounds like here they're trying to make it so that you can safely like mass weapons in the areas that you control, and the game won't end until you own all 4 or how many maps there are currently. So I think that's an interesting thing. They said down here that our first step is rolling out this mode into some basic playable form. The next is to figure out traveling between regions via road. I think that's the hardest thing. How do you travel between regions if one's meant for fighting and the other like ones are meant to like stockpile resources? I think they discussed here that the goal is here, like if you're fighting in Endless Shore, to be able to go into Deadlands in like a secret spy mission and blow up supplies, but not be able to take towns. That's what it sounded like to me. You'd still be able to take down over town halls in Endless Shore, and once your team controls that entire map, then you would push in the Deadlands and so forth to take the towns. So I think that's an interesting thing to go in like raids almost to destroy behind enemy lines. It adds another aspect to the game that me and my friends have been trying to do in the game itself, but doesn't really work all the time because people are always expecting you to be there and so forth. So I think being in like a surprise attack and killing all your stockpile ammo and stuff would be very cool. And I think conversely, like they were talking about the stockpiling weapons here. Okay. I also want to note that we will fully intend to preserve the support the current way of playing Foxhole. So individual regions. So this will be like a separate game mode and a separate server, it sounds like. So it'll continuously be one big server with a big player base for these, like a war mode, what they call it, and then there'll be a bunch of other little like smaller servers like there currently is on the game for each individual thing. So I think this is a very cool like aspect to the game. I think it'll take a little bit of time to implement, as they said, and to try to get 100% right. I think I would be playing the regular maps for a while until this really gets worked out. I mean, this has a while to come out before it happens anyway, so I'm just looking forward to new stuff in Foxhole because it's going to be awesome. Alright, so this wraps up my discussion and my thoughts and read-through of the DevBlog 16 of Foxhole. Let me know what you guys think of these new features that they talked about, these new maps, these new characters, artwork, and so forth, down below in the comments. Let's get a discussion going and try to figure out what we like about it and what we don't, so we can push suggestions to the devs when they implement these into the game. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to punch that like button and subscribe to this channel for more Foxhole content and tutorials. My name's Nate, and we will see you epic people on the battlefield of Foxhole. What is up, epic people of the internet? My name is Nate, and I hear you need to get on the battlefield of Foxhole in less than 8 minutes. You've come to the right place. Let's make a soldier out of you. When you jump into the world of Foxhole, you'll start in the middle of nowhere with a pistol and a hammer. Pretty straightforward stuff. Pistols make people die,